Hello and welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into anything, we got a Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in-double-feature-podcast. Got some nice fun conversation, games, maybe a guest every now and then. Who knows? Just something a little extra we're giving to you patrons out there. If you'd like to support us, please do so. We appreciate it. If not, doesn't affect any irregular content. But today, on Thursday, we're going to be talking about 2015's The Invitation, directed by Karen Kusama. And this is a movie that I remember being on Netflix for a really long time. And then now it's not.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same. So when I went to go look for this movie, I pulled up Netflix, put in The Invitation, and it said, movies like The Invitation. And I was like, what's going on here? Yeah, no, I remember seeing this poster a lot on Netflix. It was definitely like a Netflix staple almost, but it's a Tubi movie now.
Yeah, we love Tubi. Thank you, Tubi.
Yeah, thank you, Tubi. You saved us from having to rent a movie.
But yeah, basic plot of this is pretty much just it's about a couple that they lose a child that dies and they split up, and then 2 years later, he's been invited to a dinner party. He's bringing his new girlfriend to his ex-wife with her new husband, and some really odd things start happening. This party starts turning a little weird.
It starts turning a little weird, but you don't know if it's all in our main character's head. And that's what I find interesting about this movie. I didn't know what to expect with this one. I don't know. I didn't really have a lot going into it knowing. I knew the director had made Jennifer's Body, but and I love Jennifer's Body, but this is a completely different movie than Jennifer's Body. It's very slow burn. It gives you time to think and kind of like, I don't know, dig into it almost. I thought it was pretty good. You didn't like it?
We're gonna have to have a disagreement here. So
yeah.
All right. So full disclosure, I picked this movie, and I could have sworn that I'd never seen this movie before. But when I was like, this is like really familiar. Like when they like a lot of the plot points, I'm like, wait, have I seen this movie? And then like I was like, oh yeah, because I started remembering like scenes like as they were about to happen, and it's not a bad movie. It's just very okay for me, and
it sounds like it's forgettable.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't hate it, but it's not one that left an impression on me.
I gotcha. Okay, now I actually looking at like reviews and stuff. I mean, there's people that really love this movie, and there's people that really don't like this movie. It's a little all over the place, and I actually understand not enjoying this one. I do. Because it takes a long time to get anywhere. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, the payoff is in like the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. And that's when stuff really starts taking off. I mean, there are some like twists and turns in like the plot, but for the most part, for it to go into like that next gear, it's happened really late in the movie.
It does, but there's something I enjoyed about that because it really made me question. I was questioning the whole time. So our main character, played by Logan Marshall Green, who on Media Boys I constantly get confused with Jai Michael Courtney and Tom Hardy.
I was about to say, like, he looks like Tom Hardy, pretty big.
To me, I always confuse him. But I mean, he's not on Tom Hardy's level, of course, but I think he's good in this. And the whole time I really was thinking, I think the ending kills this movie for me from loving it. I really like it, but I hate that the ending actually works in a horror way. I really wish it didn't go a horror route.
I was going to say the same thing. The very last shot of the movie, I think, is not good at all.
Yeah, I think I like this movie overall because I really think the beginning is really good, because the whole idea is that this new couple shows up to his wife's place and or his ex-wife's place, and things are just really weird. His wife has a new husband, and they're a part of kind of a cultish thing, and they show videos. It's just really creepy.
Well, yeah, and I think the first sign it's weird is it's not even 2 years after. I think it's 2 years, isn't that right? Like two?
I think so. I think it's 2 years. Yeah.
But yeah, his wife and him have divorced. He's still clearly dealing with the death of their son. Like he hasn't shaved, he's got super long hair. He's clearly not taking care of himself. He's just like he's just kind of like blah. And he's still going through a lot of emotion. He looks kind of shell shocked a lot of times too. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. And his wife is like super cheerful. She's smiling, like just acts like that never happened, like nothing bad ever happened to her. And, they start saying like these weird ideas like, oh, well, grief is and pain is, those are just feelings and emotions we can just get rid of. We can just choose not to experience them. and he's just kind of like, what the hell? Like, and he's like, our son died. Like, you're not allowed, you can't just forget about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like nothing ever happened, and also she disappeared for those 2 years. No, because I guess it was a close group of friends. Nobody had heard from them, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh well, come to our place to have a party, and almost be preached at that whole time. And it kind of, what goes on from there, what the movie kind of is about, is Logan Marshall Green connects the dots and thinks, oh, this is a cult and they're just doing something weird. We don't know what, but something weird is going on. And he's almost ruining the party. He's like a party pooper. He's constantly yelling, throwing crap. And then it made me think, I was like, oh, this guy might just be an asshole. He might just be having this all in his head over grief. It really convinced me of that.
No, I was on his side the whole time. That party was weird. I would have left. Look, it doesn't take a lot for me to leave a party. And there's multiple points I would have just like full on left. Like there's a scene where there's like the guy that's kind of like the jokey type of guy. He's like, makes like a lot of smart ass comments a lot of times. And he was joking about one of the practices of this cult. He's like, oh, so it's just, I forget what he said, but anyway, like his Eden, the ex-wife character, she like slaps the guy like in the face.
Yeah.
Like, and he didn't even say anything like that bad, really. She's like, and then she's like, if you do less talking, this is why nobody cares about what you think. And I'm like, if somebody like slapped me and like said that, I would have just left. And then, there's a scene too. So like the whole idea about this cult thing is like how death is not scary. It's like, oh, you're going to a better place. And how, when they're like, hey guys, I want to show you this video. And her new husband plays a video where it's just like a woman that's dying in her bed. Like she's just taking her last breaths. And like this weird, this character is just saying all these ideas and everything. And I would have been like, I'm leaving. Like, you're showing me videos of people dying. I'm ready to go.
I'll specifically tell you where I would have left. John Carroll Lynch shows up, who I know mostly from he was in the Zodiac movie. And he
he's great in this movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's awesome in this movie. And he tells a story about, he basically admits to everybody that he spent time in prison, that he murdered his wife. As soon as I hear that, I'd be like, all right, I might have to go. This is getting a little odd.
Well, yeah. Well, there's many points before that, like, so there's one point too. They're like, hey guys, let's play a game called I Want. You say what you want, and then people do it. And it kind of starts out innocently or whatever. And then one girl's like, oh, I want some cocaine. And the guy's like, here, I got some right here. and then there's one point where the guy's wife is like, I want to kiss that guy, the guy that she slapped earlier. And then like, and it's not like a little peck on the cheek. Like they full on like just start making out like in front of everybody. And that would have made me leave. Like, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little weird. And then after that story, I definitely would have been gone. And then one girl, she's got the right idea. She's like, I'm out of here.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and but then that's another clue you see, because the husband and then John Carroll Lynch's character, they're both being really weird about her leaving. She's like,
Mhm.
no, I really want to go. I really want to leave. They're like, no, stay. Like, don't let that bother you.
Yeah.
And then finally, Logan Marshall, Logan Marshall Green's character,
Mhm.
it was is like the only rational, like, hey, she wants to leave, let her leave.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I think is funny, because he's so rational the whole time, but everybody else around him is so irrational that it makes him feel out of place, right? Because like he's like, this is going on. He sees like drugs being hidden, and he's like, oh, we're gonna get drugged, aren't we? Or they're taking weird drugs. But everyone else is just like, no, shut up, you're being stupid. What are you doing? You're looking too deeply into things. And it's just like, this is so wild. Everybody is against this man right now.
Yeah. And there's one character that was supposed to show up to the party that
Mhm.
didn't. So you're kind of wondering, like, what happened to this one character? And like eventually he gets a voicemail from that character being like, hey, I'm just now pulling into the driveway. I'll see you there. I'll see you when you get here. So he thinks like the guy was there before all the other guests showed up, and they did something to him. And
Mhm.
that's when like he has like a total meltdown, and he starts like cursing and screaming at everybody, like, like, how could you let this happen? And like, like, you guys
Mhm.
did something. You guys are acting really weird and blah blah. And they're kind of like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, and then eventually like the guy does show up at the door, so it kind of
Mhm.
like diffuses the whole thing, where he is like, oh, I'm the jerk, I was the one causing a scene.
Yeah, I'm the one that ruined it. Yeah, because that character shows up. The character they bring up constantly. Yeah, he ends up having the least amount of screen time in the end as well. And so all this happens, and I mean, I liked this part. I thought this was good, but then I personally would have liked it if it ended up not being a cult or something interesting like that, where it was just a total like bummer end where it's like, yeah, nothing really was going on. Because I think here, I think it just goes a little too over the top for what the rest of the movie is.
Yeah. Well, he eventually finds a DVD,
Hmm.
and he pops it in, and then it's the cult leader that was in the video originally for like for the woman dying. And he's kind of like, tonight's the night, like we'll all go be in a better place, like indicating like
Hmm.
something bad's about to happen. And it does, it goes from like a real super subtle movie to like just going into like pretty much like all the other horror movies you've seen, where it's just like
Yeah.
gang of crazies are trying to kill everybody in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, the first scene is good because, they slip drugs in everybody's drink. And, the main character, he throws it out. He's like, it's like, hey, don't drink that. It's drugged. But somebody does take it. And then somebody actually gets shot there. Someone just pulls out a gun and just straight shoots
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, like one of the party goers is a doctor or a nurse or something, and
Mm.
he goes over there and he starts attending to the girl that drank the wine. He's like, okay, we need to call an ambulance, and then the
Uh-huh.
husband character just shoots him like right there.
Yeah, exactly. And then it becomes like a movie where it's a hide in the house getting chased kind of movie, because the new couple, they have to hide from them pretty much the whole movie. That's kind of the deal. They're running around, hiding out, and they're chasing them down. And then I just this part, I don't know. It definitely kind of dropped the ball a little, maybe.
Yeah. Well, there's because like John Carroll Lynch's character is trying to kill him, and then there's like a girl that was also at the party that they were like, oh, she's staying with us for a couple of weeks or whatever. And
Yeah.
she turns out to be one of the cult members. So it's like four people like trying to kill this girl, or kill Logan Marshall Green and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like it just, for me, it, like, for one, like a lot of the characters weren't very memorable in my
Mhm.
opinion. I mean, other than Logan Marshall Green and like his ex-wife, like those are like the only people that get any serious. Well, and John Carroll Lynch, but
Mhm.
the other ones, I'm just kind of like, they don't. I don't remember anything they really did or anything significant.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think I would have liked a little different direction because I feel like I've seen this type of thing before, like any other movie, like Get Out or like a lot of other ones where it's just like, oh, I gotta escape the crazy house at the end of the movie.
Exactly. And I could say what happens in the end, but I mean, it just ends up just being a shootout almost. John Carroll Lynch dies. They pretty much make it out, right? But that final shot where
It's
like
so bad. I don't, now that we're talking about it, like I don't like. I like it even less.
yeah, I didn't see it coming. I really wish if they went with this, they didn't need to make it like it was global, right? Like this whole like everybody's dying. Oh my god, because they walk outside and there's a red light on and that's supposed to signify something to the cult. Well, everybody's lights are on in the neighborhood, they're red light and people are being shot and it's just like that's like a bad summer blockbuster ending where it's like, oh, it's the whole world. It's not just us
I
kind of
know.
deal. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the thing that makes cults scary, is like it's like these small groups of people, and
Mm-hmm.
they may become bigger, but I guess like on a larger scale, to me, it's not very realistic. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of cults, it's like people who are like, I mean, I'm making a lot of generalizations, but it's a lot of people who don't have like the mental, like they're going through a lot of different things mentally,
Mm-hmm.
so they're susceptible to like a lot of like these charismatic cult
Yeah.
leaders that
It's like
persuade them to do certain things.
exactly. It's like vulnerable people, right? Like outcasts almost, people that don't belong in maybe a socials, like in most social situations, and they find something to connect to. It's a lot of different things, but most of your people are not going to fall into something like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was like, because it was literally like every single light in the neighborhood was coming on. I'm like, come on, like it's not
Yeah.
every house got infected by this cult.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what happened where they took it in this direction. I guess
I
I
just
get it. It gives it a bigger feeling like it means more, but I just don't know.
To me, it's like, oh, wouldn't it look cool if there was a bunch of lights? But to me,
Um,
that's what it's like.
yeah, I could see that. So yeah, I guess overall, so I mean, I like this movie. I think for the most part, I think it's a pretty good movie. I just think it kind of, it peters out in the end. It gets a little weak.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I said, I didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very forgettable, and apparently, I'd forgotten so much. So
You forgot it so much that you recommended it on the show for something new.
I thought it was something new, and then
That's
I'm
funny.
watching it. And I'm like, oh man, I forgot about this. But it's
That's
not.
okay.
But I do. Like I said, there are good things in here. Like I said, Logan Marshall Green. He does a good performance. Jerome Carroll Lynch does a really good job. But and like there is like a creepy type of vibe going on, but I think a lot of the ending kind of ruins a lot of it for me.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Um, but yeah, I think that wraps it up for the invitation.
Yeah, I think we can not RSVP to this invitation because I'm not ready to join a cult, Nathan. I don't know about you. But Nathan, I think we got a milestone we're going to be
Uh,
doing next time. What are we doing?
it isn't this crazy. So next week is our 100th episode of Drive and Double Feature. I can't believe we made it this far, honestly. I mean, like, not that I don't think we would have, but it's just crazy how time moves so fast.
Well, it definitely does not feel like 100.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, so we had a movie we really wanted to cover episode 100, but because it's Halloween, we just thought, okay, well, let's think horror. Let's think of a movie that's having its 100-year anniversary. And it's a silent movie. It's from 1922, and that's Haxan. It's a silent witchcraft movie that I've wanted to see for a very long time, and it'll actually be our first documentary we've covered here too. So we got a couple milestones ahead of us.
Yeah, definitely one I've been wanting to see for a long time.
Yeah, so that'll be really exciting. Yeah, and you can find Haxon over on YouTube. You can find it on the Internet Archive. It is, if you want to go to a streaming service, it's on HBO Max right now. But it's a 100-year-old movie. It's in the public domain. You can pretty much watch it anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Join us for our celebration. But if you'd like to continue the celebration, feel free to email us over at driveindoublefeaturpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DIDFpod. And once again, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/driveindoublefeaturepodcast. But until next time.
Next time.